Jason P. Johnson's cries for mercy were muffled out by the avalanche of tiny feet as he was repeatedly stomped to death by children. And Satan sat there glued to the TV, like it was the most interesting thing that he'd ever seen. Satan?
Yes, buddy.
You said children were pure souls, right?
Of course.
So where do you get children in hell?
That's a great question, Derek. Do you want to order pizza?
Yeah, I guess, but you didn't answer.
Right. Just put it on your credit card.
Okay.
You see the way little Lucy stomps on his face like that? She's great, isn't she?
Which one is Lucy?
Well, they're all named Lucy, Derek. It's easier to keep track of them that way.
What?
I've got at least 7 kids with each wife, Derek. That's a lot of kids to keep track of. I can't go calling them all by the wrong name all the time. I'd affect their self-esteem.
But naming them all Lucy
was a stroke of genius. My first wife wanted to call them all Satan Jr. Can you imagine? What a dumb bitch.
Satan upped the TV as one of the kids picked up a rock and violently bashed Jason P. Johnson's skull in.
I admit, said Satan, Lucy 47 is my favorite. I know as a parent you're supposed to love all your children equally, but...
There was a sickening crunch as Lucy 47 tore out Jason P. Johnson's spine and held it up to the camera. Her skin was almost pure white and her eyes were solid black like a doll's. And as I stared into those black eyes, I became aware of a sensation of air being sucked out of my lungs, and my whole body began to feel heavy. I could feel bloody vessels starting to pop in my neck, and I strained to turn my head away, but I found that I could no longer move. And all of a sudden the air rushed back into my lungs, and Satan had plunged his hand into the TV. But instead of breaking, the glass began to ripple like water as he pulled a small, pale arm through. And as he continued to pull, I saw the rest of Lucy 47 climb through the screen and into my living room. Satan grabbed a pair of big sunglasses and handed them to her.
Here, put these on, honey,
he said, and the little girl didn't say anything. She just put on the glasses and stared at me. I was lying on the floor, gasping for air.
Oh, come on, Brandon. You look like a trot over there. Come on, get up and let's go out. We've got people to kill.
I managed to steady my breathing. So you don't want pizza?
Just order it. We'll bring it with us.
You want to bring pizza to a murder?
Well, technically, it's a sales pitch, Derek. There just happens to be a murder at the end of it.
And after we got the pizza, Satan had me sit up front so I could hold it open on my lap for him to eat and drive. Lucy sat in the back and stared out the window. Are you sure that this is safe, Satan? I asked as we narrowly sped by another car.
Don't worry about it, Donnie. The explosives in the truck won't go off unless we crash.
And I gulped. There are explosives in the trunk? Are you serious?
Of course, Donnie.
Cars screeched to a halt around us as Satan ran a red light.
How do you expect to blow people up without explosives?
Who are we going to blow up?
Sex traffickers, Donnie.
All right, fine, but maybe we can be a little discreet this time?
Let me think about it, Donnie.
And Satan paused for a moment.
No.
And Satan turned around and started talking to Lucy.
Lucy, honey, are you ready to go kill some people with Daddy?
Lucy didn't say anything. I glanced in the rearview mirror and saw that she had removed her sunglasses and was staring out the window. Birds were dropping from the sky behind us. And when we got to the location, I saw that it was out of the way of houses in the woods. There were a bunch of Jeeps and black SUVs parked outside. There was an armed guard posted at the door with an assault rifle.
All right, Donnie,
Satan was whispering now.
You wait in the car, and I'm going to put the explosives by their back wheels for when they start to run.
He punched me in the shoulder and handed me a video camera and some binoculars.
Get some good footage for the website, all right?
And Satan slipped out of the car, and then he was off, carrying little metal discs that looked like mines. He moved around the compound silently, dropping mines around the wheels of the Jeeps and the SUVs. And when he was done, he grabbed onto a bunch and climbed into a tree. And I wondered, was he going to just watch? If so, then what were they going to be running from? I put the binoculars to my eyes and I watched the armed guards. And that's when I saw Lucy. She looked like a ghost as she strode smoothly through the clearing. The guard seemed just as confused as I was when he spotted her, and he reached for his walkie-talkie at his waist. And that's when Lucy took her sunglasses off. And the man suddenly froze in place. And I watched as his face twisted up with pain. The blood vessels in his neck started to turn black, bulging and bursting with a black fluid that sizzled and burned as it overflowed over his skin. Lucy cocked a fist back like she was going to punch him, but instead she threw a fist through his stomach. Bracing herself with the other hand, she ripped out his spine with the head still attached and tossed it aside like rubbish. Men rushed out of the house and the forest erupted with gunfire. Lucy's tiny little body shook as hundreds of bullets collided with her. She shrugged the onslaught off like rainwater, leaping from one man to another and tearing them apart like paper, littering the ground with their organs and dismembered limbs. The men started to throw down their guns and jumped into their cars to drive away. The ground shook and trees fell as the mines went off, sending burnt flesh and shattered glass everywhere. And when it was all over, Lucy stood there amongst the bodies in a singed dress, and silently turned and looked at her father. Satan hopped down from the tree and walked over to her, patting her on the head.
"Come here, honey."
He beamed down with fatherly affection.
"Let's go get some ice cream."
In my last update, I introduced you to Satan's favorite daughter, Lucy 47. Some of you were curious about her background, and I admit that I was too. So I asked Satan about it, hoping to answer some of your questions. Satan told me that Lucy's mother was one of the many demons that immigrated to Earth while the war between heaven and hell was still raging in full force. Though all demons were conscripted to fight in the war, many of them ended up deserting. Some were simply hoping to escape the conflict without having their souls obliterated. But some came to Earth to torment humans, taking advantage of the fact that heaven didn't spare troops to dedicate to their protection. And as some of you guessed, Lucy 47's mother was in fact the demonic equivalent of a Gorgon. According to Satan, mankind's mythical depictions of Gorgons, vampires, and many other monsters are actually based on demonic creatures that plagued their ancient civilizations. The exploits of the particularly infamous demons are included in a tome called the Encyclopedia Satanica. The entry for Lucy 47's mother indicates that she came to Earth in the 734th year of the war. I'm not sure what that translates to in Earth dates exactly, but it was during the era of the ancient Greeks. According to the encyclopedia, the Greek myth of Medusa is based in large part on her murderous torment of those people. And now that your questions have been answered, I'll move on to the next part of what has been happening with Satan and I. Lucy 47 sat in the living room texting on her cell phone. Had I not witnessed her tearing men apart like tissue paper the day before, I might have mistaken her for a normal Earth teenager. "Hey Lucy, do you know when your dad's gonna get back?" And Lucy didn't say anything. She just looked over her sunglasses at one of my houseplants. The plant hissed and let out black smoke as it withered away. Okay, guess I'll just wait. About 30 minutes later, Satan burst through the door grinning.
"All right, Mel. You're gonna love this one. I just got off of a conference call with the management team in hell, and we've come up with a much more efficient way to do this thing."
Really?
"Absolutely, Mel. We're going to bring a team of top murderers, salespeople to Earth and task them out to increasing our customer growth rate."
So you want to bring a bunch of monsters to Earth so that way they can kill people for you?
Once again, Mel, I want to remind you that we prefer the term new customer recruitment. But that is the basic idea.
Okay, so you want to pull them all through the TV like we did with Lucy?
Don't be ridiculous, Mel. We can't just pull any demon through the TV. I can only pull Lucy 47 through because our souls are already connected as father and daughter.
Oh, so how do we get the rest of them to Earth?
That's a great question, Mel. And it leads me to the next thing that I want to talk to you about. The management team feels that your talents aren't being fully utilized in the current position.
Okay. Are you saying I'm getting a promotion?
more like a reassignment. But you can call it a promotion if that makes you feel any better, Darren.
Okay, sure. Does this mean that I'm not gonna have to kill people anymore?
Yes, Darren. Your new position will not entail any homicidal duties.
Alright, sign me up, I guess.
Great, Mel. Just hold still for a moment.
I hit the ground hard and sputtered and coughed as the sulfuric air filled my lungs. Then I was back in hell. A column of flame rushed down from the sky next to me, and when the smoke dissipated, I saw Satan standing there.
Alright, so we're going to need you to help magic some stuff up down here, Darren. Think you're up for the task?
I tried to talk, but just wound up doubled over in a fit of coughing. The air quality in hell is terrible.
Great, Darren. Great. Our first stop is Lucy 47's mother. I'm going to warn you, Darren. She's a total bitch. But she is my wife. So be nice or I'll have to kill you again.
I managed to squeak out a hoarse,
Okay, Satan.
The road to the Gorgon castle was lined with spikes, each one topped with a rotting head.
She's got a weird fetish for decapitation, Darren, so be careful. Ever since some asshole cut her head off on Earth, and she got sent back to hell, she just started lopping human heads off. She goes through like 40 a day. It's ridiculous.
Wow, seems like she's really holding a grudge.
Absolutely, Darren. She's very racist against humans. Kind of like you are against octopuses. So try not to provoke her by doing any of that weird human stuff you do all the time.
Wait, what do you mean by—
Right, here we are.
As we crested a hill, I looked up to see a giant pile of skulls arranged into a pyramid. 90 feet tall if it was a foot. And Satan shook his head.
I have to apologize for my wife's crappy decor, Darren. I mean, really, a pile of skulls. It's a little on the nose, isn't it? Who was this supposed to scare off? Girl Scouts? Does she have a grudge against Thin Mints, too?
Oh, yeah. Totally lame, I said, trying to keep my heart from beating out of my chest. And as Satan knocked on the door, I suddenly remembered that I couldn't look at his wife in the eyes without dying. The door swung open and I looked right underneath where her face was. The neckline of her dress plunged all the way to her belly button.
Jesus, Darren. You meet my wife for the first time and the first thing you do is stare at her rack. What a human, huh, honey?
You can look up, I heard a soft voice say. And I looked up and behold the Gorgon. She had milky white skin and chocolate brown eyes, plump black lips and long sleek black hair. She was gorgeous. Wow. And she smiled at me.
Nice to meet you too, Darren. I'm Maddie.
So, I'm not gonna turn to stone then?
No. I can control it.
And she coughed.
But it, looks like part of you is already turned to stone.
What? And she looked down and my eyes followed. And something in my pants had definitely turned to Stonehenge. No, that's not just, sometimes when you change dimensions, the magic.
You have a magical erection?
No, it's just
hard to think with all that blood in the wrong head, Brian.
Satan chimed in. And Satan started laughing.
Get a load of this guy, honey. Typical human, right? Don't you just hate it when they do that weird human stuff? I don't think anybody would blame you if you just decapitated him right here and now.
Maybe later. I still got some leftovers from yesterday in the fridge. Would you like to come in?
Actually, Satan, I think I'd rather—
Don't be rude, Brian. My wife just invited you in.
And Maddie turned around and waved us in. Her hips swayed back and forth as she led us up the stairs to the main hall.
Are you staring at my wife's ass, Brian?
What? No, I don't even— What? Maddie turned around and smiled.
Give him a break, honey. He's only human.
Are you hungry, Brian?
Yeah, famished, actually.
Great. Humans eat other humans, right?
Actually, I think I got some snacks in the car. Don't worry about it.
If you say so. I guess we can just get right down to business then. The bedroom's this way.
The bedroom?
Here,
she said, holding the door open for me.
Satan, will you wait outside?
And I looked at Satan questioningly.
Well, go on, Brian. We don't have all day.
All right. I went inside and I stood awkwardly by the wall. Maddie came in and sat down on the bed.
Is the bed okay?
She asked. I guess so.
Good,
She said, patting the spot next to her.
come sit down.
I did as I was told, sitting down on the bed next to Maddie. Listen, Maddie, I don't really know. My voice disappeared as she shrugged the shoulders of her dress off, exposing her breasts.
Okay. You want me sitting up or laying down?
Laying down, I guess?
Sure. I guess that makes sense. I know they're kind of large. Sorry. I know that makes it harder.
Harder?
Yeah. Drawing the rune on my chest to help me get through the soul port. It must be easier with a flat surface.
The what? Oh! The rune! Of course, let me just get my marker. Frick, where'd I put that thing?
Is that it right there?
No, that's my, And Maddie just stared at me blankly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that your penis again? I'm just not used to seeing them that small. Are all humans like that?
I don't know. I fished the marker out of my pocket and drew the rune on her chest.
Great,
She smiled.
Can you send Satan in when you leave? I want to say goodbye before I go to Earth.
Okay, sure.
You might want to go downstairs. We can be pretty loud. Just help yourself to something in the fridge, okay?
Yeah. All right. Satan and I pattered our way down the path that cut through the dark woods around us, though to call them woods might be a little generous. Rather than tree bark, the trees seemed to be coated in slimy black scales. The leaves looked like ragged pieces of skin and were oozing a thick black substance down to the ground below. Satan had explained that they were simply vampire trees. Vampires, he had told me, as undead creatures, were incapable of reproducing the same way as humans. These trees were planted with a mix of both magic and vampire blood, and over the course of a 1,000-year lifetime, the little bits of the ragged skin knit together to form a vampire fetus. And I didn't ask him what that might look like. Satan gestured to one of the trees in front of us.
Look at that one, Jed. It's Transylvanian-Romanian hybrid. The scales are truly magnificent, aren't they?
Yeah, sure. I wasn't sure which tree he was referring to. They all looked the same to me.
You don't have to pretend to know what you're talking about, Jed. We both know that you don't know dick about vampire trees.
Right. Satan picked up the pace a little.
We're going to meet an old friend of mine. He's really sensitive about his teeth, so try not to say anything stupid.
Why? What's wrong with his teeth?
There's nothing wrong with his teeth, Jed. Like they say, it's not the size of the fangs that matter. It's how you use them.
Oh, so it's sort of like guys with their, you know.
No, I don't know. What?
They're members. And Satan grinned.
I did know, actually. I just wanted to make you say it. Yes, it's pretty much the same, really. Just something girl vampires say to make you feel better.
Oh, okay. The forest got thicker and thicker with vampire trees, so much so that the black fluid dripping from them started running off in little currents. I couldn't even see the castle ahead when we finally reached it, the only thing visible beneath the treetops being the large wooden door, and the two torches on either side that cast an eerie light over it. And Satan wrapped his knuckles on the door and opened it to reveal a waxy white vampire in a bathrobe. His hair was unkempt and brushed to the top of his shoulders, and his eyes looked like blue icy chips.
"Hey, good to see you, Stu,"
said Satan. Stu grinned wide to show off a mouthful of white teeth, and two of the biggest fangs that I'd ever seen. And Satan gasped.
"Jesus, Stu, it looks like you whittled down candy canes. Where did you get those?"
"Fang enhancement surgery," he said smugly.
Got them from a tiger with a bad overbite.
They look great, buddy. Anyway, this here is Jed, Stu, Jed.
Hi, I said stupidly. So, what kind of name is Stu for a vampire?
It's great, isn't it?
He smiled again, showing every single tooth in his mouth when he did.
My birth name was Dracula, but I wanted a name that really struck fear into the heart, you know. So I had it changed to Stu.
Alright then.
Anyway,
Stu turned around and beckoned us to follow him inside.
Why don't you come sit down for dinner before we do the ritual?
I didn't see how I could refuse without risking disembowelment, so I silently nodded my assent and we made our way to the dinner table, where I dreaded seeing what a vampire's idea of dinner was. And I was surprised to see the giant table laden with all sorts of delicious-looking things. There was a steak still sizzling from the grill, giant wheels of some sort of white cheese, a few dozen bottles of wine, and some sort of soup that let off a thick smell of garlic. Satan rubbed his hands together and grinned.
So glad to see that you've finally given up that weirdo diet, Stu.
And Stu shook his head.
I haven't given it up, he replied. This is just for you guys.
What sort of diet are you on? I asked, and Stu sighed miserably.
All vegan,
he said, lifting up a little bell from the table and giving it a shake. I wondered how a vampire could be vegan, but my question was quickly answered as two huge vampires carrying in a screaming and kicking man in a Che Guevara t-shirt. They slammed him down at the table in front of Stu, knocking over a few of the wine glasses in the process, and Stu bent down to feed on his neck. The screaming simply abruptly turned to gasping, and then the man's body began to shrivel up like a raisin before finally going still. I'd grown used to seeing this sort of horror and was more curious than anything.
So Stu,
I said in between mouthfuls of mashed potatoes, what's the point of a vampire going vegan?
Regular human blood has too much cholesterol these days, he said blandly. The full fat does taste so much better though, he added in sadly. And most of the rest of the dinner was finished in silence as we respectively devoured our meals. I went through 2 8-ounce steaks and an absurd amount of garlic mashed potatoes, while Satan had the marinara falafel and 3 bottles of wine. And Stu had 2 more vegans. And afterwards I drew the same rune on Stu's chest that I had on Maddie's. She had been right. Drawing the rune was so much easier on a flat surface and with no throbbing erection. All done, I said when I finished. Great, Stu said. Satan and I are going to head off to the soul port.
He eyed me with a look that was suspiciously similar to hunger.
What's your cholesterol like? He asked, cocking an eyebrow.
I said hurriedly. Really dangerously high. He looked unconvinced, but just then Satan clapped him on the shoulder and whispered something in his ear that sounded a lot like hepatitis. I opened my mouth to protest, thought better of it, and waved them goodbye as they left. My phone was off for most of last night because I broke my charger. And I thought that it was weird that Adam, my roommate, hadn't come out of his room at all during that time. He usually takes a nap after his trig class, but I assumed that he must have stepped out without me knowing or something. I kept knocking on his door, but it was locked and he wasn't replying. But he doesn't usually lock his bedroom door when he leaves. And just this morning I went out and got a phone charger. And when I turned it back on, I had all of these texts from him.
Look, I don't have a lot of time, so let's just skip the bullshit. Where am I? I remember falling asleep after class, and now I'm obviously in someone else's room. Garrett, is this some kind of prank? Well, if so, then you win, man. Please, make this stop. I've only got 20% of my phone battery left, and typing on here is stiff or annoying because of fucking autocorrect.
You win, dude. Stop with the sounds outside. How are you even making that noise like an elephant dying or something, like it's making a weird faraway noise through its trunk? What even is that? Sounds like it
It might be Max with that big stupid horn or something. 10:25 p.m. Garrett, unlock the door. 10:26 p.m. Garrett, unlock the door. 10:30 p.m. Please. I don't care if you tell anyone, but I feel like I'm going to cry right now because this is scary, dude. This is the scariest prank that you've ever pulled. One for the ages, all right? Go ahead and tell everyone how badly you got me and just stop fucking with the heat. It's so hot in here that I feel like my skin is boiling. Like I'm a fucking lobster or something. Come on, please. 10:32 p.m. Who's that laughing? I know what your laugh sounds like. It's not you. So who is that man? Who's there with you? I know that's not Max either. 11:20 p.m. Oh my God, it's not you, is it? They came in, bro. It was like a guy with a gas mask on, and he's not wearing anything else. Like completely naked, and he had these cuts on him, man, like in the movies when they whip someone so badly that they bleed. Those long gashes all over his chest and back. And I look between his legs, and he doesn't have a dick, man. 11:21 p.m. Fuck, man, please, come get me. I'm sorry I thought that it was you. 11:22 p.m. Why won't you reply to me? I'm not fucking around, Garrett, please. 11:45 p.m. Garrett, please, man. Don't leave me in here. 12:15 a.m. It's bright outside. My phone says that it's around midnight. The curtains are drawn, but there's this orange glow coming from outside like it's daylight, except it's kind of reddish too, and it's so hot in here. 12:20 a.m. Is this about Trinity, Garrett? Is that why you won't help me? Look, I'm sorry about what happened to her. She was the one who wanted to try heroin. I swear to God, I didn't push it on her. I told her that it was dangerous, but she wanted to try to inject it, so I gave it to her. 12:21 a.m. No one could have known that it would be too much, man. I'm sorry your girlfriend died, but you can't just leave me in here. You know what a justice freak you are. Thinking I deserve what's happening to me, but I don't. No one deserves this shit, man. Please, come find me. 1:15 a.m. This is it. 2% battery left. 1:20 a.m. The man with the gas mask and the cuts has been staring at me for a while. I tried to push my way through, but he wouldn't let me go. And that fucking elephant sound, it's so hot. Man, this is bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I drugged your girlfriend, and I was really fucked up then, man. I really didn't mean to kill her, but I think that I have to go now. I think the man wants me to come. I think he's saying something, but I'm not sure. 1:21 a.m. Fuck. After reading all of the texts that he sent me, I felt extremely sick to my stomach. I almost threw up. But the need to know more kept me too focused to let go of my breakfast. I didn't have time to think about the truth of my girlfriend's fate, even though I was finding out for the first time the sick extent that bastard went to. Instead, I just put my shoulder down and I charged into his door 3 times until finally the wood gave way and it busted open. And there he was, with his eyes fixed open in this permanent gaze, looking up at the ceiling. And with a loose tourniquet by his side and an empty needle still in his loose hand. His lips, his cheeks, and his body looked blue. And when the paramedics arrived, they said that he must have been dead for a while now. Since around 10 o'clock p.m.
they had guessed.